Hi friends, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you're new. My name's Dalia. Today we are back on my medieval witchy abandoned island Grim Isle doing another speed build. It has been a couple weeks since we've been on this island since I changed and reset my other island, and we've been focusing on that island in the last couple of videos, but we're back doing another build on this island today. Today we're going to be making a sunken library, which I'm really excited for. Let's head over to the area we're going to be building today and we can kind of talk about what we're going to be doing. So pretty much we're going to be decorating directly behind this area, a little more to the right actually, of where I'm standing in front of. But the idea is I want to hide my museum because the museum is a very big building, and unfortunately it just does not fit my island theme very well, considering it is like a white, bright building and my island theme is the opposite of that. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. If you do, leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel. And yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. I'm really excited to be back decorating on this island. So yeah, without further ado, let's get started. Unfortunately, I got a lot of terraforming to do, which is not my favorite thing to do when it comes to decorating, but it's something that we gotta do. Thankfully, I promise you, I did cut up the terraforming significantly. We kind of already had a lot of the terraforming, like we had a starting off point, because another build I really want to make on this island is a school, kind of like a academy for witches, considering the villagers on my island are meant to be witches. So that is what we're going to be building directly behind those two inclines on the third cliff. But I really wanted to make a abandoned, kind of destroyed library beside the school. So and I also wanted it to be kind of hidden, kind of out of the way, like you really don't know it's there until you stumble across it. So I have to build up the cliffs around the sunken area to make it work. So that's what we're doing now. So throughout the video I'll be including and adding a lot more cliffs throughout the area. A lot of the cliffs around the corners of the build do remain untouched by the end, and that's because I haven't decorated those areas yet. I was just focusing on the actual library, like the actual area where the museum is. This is not my first time making a sunken build for my museum. On my Springcore Island, I did do a sunken dig site for Blather's tent. It's a little bit different because you can kind of walk directly to it. It wasn't like it was surrounded by taller cliffs that you can go down to. This is more like all the cliffs around this area are big and the museum is at the bottom. The other one was more like you walk through an area and then the cliffs surround the area, and the cliffs are kind of like sectioned off so you can't walk to them. So right now I'm trying to figure out where I wanted to put the museum. Initially I wanted to put it directly in the left side of the map, but like I said, we do end up changing that and doing a area more towards the right. Honestly, it's more like at the very back center of my map. My secret beach is on the very right corner of my map. It's like about 10 to 15 tiles away from that, I want to say. But here I'm just sectioning off the back cliffs where I'm going to be placing some trees and giant vines and things just to kind of enhance the shrunken aspect of the build with the whole sunken thing. Initially I was also going to have the first and second tier cliffs all surrounding the museum, but I decided just with the right amount of trees and other taller items, I can still make the area look very sunken. So I placed the museum down and quickly time traveled to go to the next day, and then I'm back to doing more of the terraforming. I don't know why I focused so much on the terraforming in this video. I was still at this point trying to decide if I wanted to block off the front section of the museum with more cliffs, so you have to be on the third cliff to really be able to see the museum, which is why I'm extending the cliff along this area right here. I eventually get rid of that because I think it was a little bit too blocked off. I will probably go back and try to make the overlook out of the museum a little more obscured and a little more hidden, but for this video I wanted to be able to see the final result, and I wasn't 100% set on like how I wanted the front section of the taller cliffs to look, so I just leave it kind of blank towards the end. I use some fencing just to kind of block off the cliff, and we've like mainly just focus our attention on the actual build itself. But here I just wanted to build up the cliffs. I will be building up the entirety of the back left on with like a second and third tier, because I'm gonna have that school like I discussed on the third tier. But I'd already been terraforming for about an hour at this point and was just kind of getting bored of it. I really wanted to start the actual build.
I gotta put me first. I gotta put me first. I gotta put me first, Lucian.
So that's what we're moving on to. So I'm placing the pathing down. This is the path I've been using throughout the entirety of my island so far. Is this mossy green stone, which I really like because I'm able to make like very broken up flooring with this type of pathing. There's another variation of this path that I've mentioned in a previous video that's more like brown toned, that I honestly think goes a little bit better with like a fall themed island, which my island is set in like mid-November. So I'm still undecided if I really want to switch it to that path. The only reason I still have this one is because it goes really nice with the distressed damage version of the castle items in the medieval building sides. The color of the moss in this path just complements it really well, so I'm still kind of undecided on it. I heard he asked in a previous video if I should switch over, and it was kind of like 50-50 on people in the comments saying like, no, keep it, no, like switch it over. So I'm still like, I'm undecided. Like it'll only take me switching the tiles from the original one to the new version, but I'm still a little unsure. I'll definitely make the decision before the end of completing this island, before I release my dream address, but for right now we're just leaving it as is. So I quickly went to a treasure island and grabbed a bunch of trees because I wanted to get the back of the cliff decorated as quick as possible, and just to finish off the cliffs around this area. I wasn't actually going to fill in the cliffs in the entirety, like surrounding the library or the museum turned library, but I decided it just made more sense to fully like surround the area so I know how much room I'm working with in terms of like item placement. I also continue to like further give myself more room at the front of the museum because there's not a lot of space when I initially built up the cliffs, so I definitely changed that up a little bit. You'll see as I start to place items down the intention behind that, but I also wanted to place an incline, and for my island I've mainly been using the stone staircase, but I really wanted to use the natural ramp for this area because this is meant to be a very wild looking area, like more natural in terms of the furniture, and I don't know, I like the way that the natural ramp looks with this pathing, and I've only been using the stone one so far, so I want to mix it up a little bit. I think that's mainly the reason I chose it, just to kind of give myself a change of pace. So anyway, I moved on to placing the cliffs. I did a couple of cliff trees. I quickly show you guys how to do it here, but if you are curious about how to place cliff trees, there's tons of tutorials on YouTube for how to place them, but it just gave me a little more like room to place more trees down along the back of this cliff because it's only a four tile cliff. So I'm just placing a bunch of hardwood trees and spruce trees, and what's really good about this is that it really just creates a lot of really nice height behind the museum. So moving on, I started placing the furniture down. I really wanted to basically completely obscure the museum. It's a very tall building, so you can still see the top of the building peeking out, which is not a big deal. I really just wanted to hide like the majority of the white beige part of the museum. I wish I could hide the roof because it's a blue color and I don't have blue in any of my color scheme for this island, so it's kind of annoying, but it's easily overlooked. But I just hid it with some medieval building sides and some ruined or like ruined what are those called? What are those called? Pillars. The ruined pillars. And then I started placing the castle items along the left and the right side of the build. And I actually had this design already downloaded. I've already used it, I think, on this island in one build. But it's kind of like books like hidden behind... meant to be like a bookshop, kind of like book window for like a bookstore. But I thought it looked really good placed behind the castle gate as kind of like more books you can't access, I guess, kind of like that. So I quickly placed that down using the custom design on some simple panels, and then I'm mimicking what I did on the other side by placing the castle tower in the corner and then just alternating between the castle items and the medieval building sides, and then also using the simple panel design on this other side as well. Once again, if you are curious about any of the custom designs I use on this island, I have them all linked down in the description. Please let me know if I miss any or if any of them are incorrect, but I always try to make sure that they're right. But you know, sometimes you miss them, you miss some. So after placing the majority of the castle items down, I'm pretty much done with the castle items. Everything else I'll be using for this build are mainly going to be like bookshelves and book items. So I'm just extending the cliff a little bit more because I did want to place some trees on the left side of the cliff just to kind of section this area off from the area that I created further on the left side of this area. And I just wanted to get the cliffs position the way that I wanted to. So after placing that, I started placing some giant vines down. This has become like a staple item on my island, mainly because I like how it like mimics overgrown, like an overgrown tree. Like this island is meant to be very run down, very overgrown, and I love how it looks almost also decaying because I'm using like the brown variation of the giant vines. Also adds a lot of height to the area, which I love too. And then here I'm placing some custom designs down on the ground. I don't know if I'm going to keep in the custom designs that I placed here. I just wanted to place something underneath the log fencing, which is the fencing I'll be using to kind of like section off the cliff area. It's meant to kind of look like an over, like an overview. And it looks really good. Like, I love how the library looks from far away from this angle. So I don't build anything further than what I'm placing down here for this area, but I just wanted to kind of like make it look a little bit prettier. And then I'm placing the giant vines on the cliff. This is another item I'm using just to mainly create height behind the museum because it is a very tall item, so you can definitely see it placed behind the building. And then I'm placing the bookshelves. I decided to go with the dark brown just because I like how this color matches the castle items and everything. And really I'm just trying to fill up as much of this space as I can with the bookshelves, and then I'll be creating more space with the other book items I'll be placing down too. I also wanted to create a little wall using one of the bookshelves, so I'm doing that with the bookshelf I'm placing here just to kind of section off the area. It's meant to look like rows and rows of bookshelves that you see in a library. Like little hidden alcoves and stuff like that. So after finishing placing those down, I'm going to start placing some barrels down. And I wanted to put a couple of giant vines in this section too, just to enhance the like rundown look of this area. I only placed a couple because I really wanted to be able to place as many book items as possible. You'll see what I mean when I say book items in a few minutes. But it's an easier way of describing the books that I'll be placing down. So I decided to go with the round log table, or the log round table, and I'm just placing like stacked books, candles, books, just any book item in the game that we have. I tried to utilize as many variations of books as possible because I wanted this to look like a very full area with as many items as I can, but a lot of the book items are small, so I wanted to stack them in like unique and different ways. And then I use a lot of the pirate barrels and regular barrels and some wooden boxes to place additional books on. I also use like the recycle bundles and there's a couple of other book items I use too. And then I'm also making sure to include a bunch of candles too, because my island is going to be set in like evening, so I want to have as much natural, like much light as I possibly can. And another creative way of placing like a book item down is I'm also using the pocket books that you can get from Red, and I'm just dropping them on the floor. You can also use like the lost items that villagers like lose, because there is a red book variation for that too. But just because you can walk on them, it's like a dropped item you can walk across, so it doesn't block off walking along the space. Similarly, I'm using some scattered papers. It's meant to look as if the library was like torn apart. And I used a custom design that I've been using on some of my decorative bottles on the scattered papers. It's just meant to be like a vintage logo, and I think it looks actually pretty decent on the the scattered papers. I just didn't want to have to download a new custom design for like one little spot. So that's what I'm doing here. You also notice I did use a couple of jail bars. Once again, this is meant to look like certain areas of the library have been like blocked off from access, like because they're like forbidden books or something like that. And then I just placed a bunch of wheat fields and some shrubs and weeds and some piles of leaves. You get the basic thing. Like, I didn't feel like I needed to show placing all the weeds down. I am using the glowy moss weeds as well as regular weeds because this island is meant to look very magical, and I like how the glowing moss looks and adds a little like element of like magic, so they glow. And then the last thing I almost forgot to include is I threw down a couple of spooky items. All the areas on my island that are more run down and abandoned, I use the spooky items in like the more gray-white variation, just to contrast the more like lived-in areas of the island, where like my villagers are, where my shops are. I use the other color variations like the orange, green, and yellow. I like that little detail. No one is probably going to notice it, but it's something I enjoy including because it kind of shows that like this area or these particular areas are more decayed and like void of life, kinda, if that makes any sense. So just to finish off the cliffs, I'm including a bunch of wheat fields. I didn't want to put any flowers back here. I just wanted it to be weeds, wheat fields, trees, and shrubs. So that's what I'm throwing down, and really just trying to fill up the space as much as possible and make it look very overgrown. You can't access this back area, so I wanted to make sure it looked like very full. And then I quickly do time travel and change some of the heights of the trees just so I can stunt a couple of them, just to make it look a little more realistic with the like different tree heights. And then yeah, after that we're gonna quickly time travel to later on in the day. The dream address time I'm wanting to set is around like 4:30, 5 o'clock, as like the sun is starting to set. So yeah, I hope that you guys enjoyed today's video, and I'm really happy with the way that this area turned out. It's actually like I don't know, I think it's very unique. It's not something I've seen anyone else do.
She's got a point. She's an icon. She's a legend. And she is the moment.
Probably someone else has done this, but anyway, without further ado, let's go check out the final build. Alright, that is everything for today's video. I really hope that you guys enjoyed. I'm really happy to be back on this island. I know I've been spending a lot of time on my new island, which if you haven't seen, there is a playlist in my description if you would like to check out those videos as well. But yeah, if you guys enjoyed today's video, don't forget to leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel. And I will see you all in my next video. Bye!